He woke up before the sun did, the way single parents often do, with the half-conscious instinct of someone whose life is timed around school bells, packed lunches, and the creak of a bedroom door down the hall. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Usually by now he'd hear the faint movement of his teenage daughter getting ready, or the soft bounce of her footsteps as she searched for her misplaced phone for the 100th time. But this morning there was nothing. He stretched, blinked the sleep from his eyes, and went to knock on her door. "Lena? You up?" No answer. He pushed the door open gently, more out of habit than necessity. And then everything inside him froze. The sheets were stained deep red. For a split second the world went silent, then filled with a roar of panic. His heart slammed against his ribs hard enough to hurt. Thoughts collided wildly in his mind: accident, injury, intruder, hospital, blood, so much blood, and he rushed toward the bed, hands shaking, breath already short. "Lena," he choked out. She jerked awake, startled, eyes wide and filled with alarm at the sight of him hovering over her in full panic. "Dad, Dad." "It's okay," she said quickly, pushing herself upright. Her cheeks flushed scarlet as she realized what he was seeing. "It's not, I'm fine." "Really?" He couldn't process anything except the red. No parent ever forgets the first time they see their child's blood. It strikes fear on a level deeper than thought. "What happened?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Are you hurt?" "Where?" She hesitated, embarrassment warring with patience. Then she whispered softly, almost apologetically, like she was letting him in on something private and profound. "Dad. I think I just had my first period." He blinked. The room seemed to reboot around him. His panic collided with confusion, then slow realization dawned, washing away the terror but leaving something else behind, a mix of awe, protectiveness, and the sudden awareness that his little girl was stepping into a new chapter of life. "Oh," he breathed, relief flooding through him so fast it made him lightheaded. "Oh. Okay. Okay." She watched him carefully, like she was waiting for judgment or discomfort. What she didn't know, what she couldn't fully see, was the silent flashback running through his mind. He saw her as a toddler trying to braid her doll's hair. As a 7-year-old who refused to sleep without the nightlight. As the 10-year-old who still held his hand when crossing the street. And now, this. His chest tightened with the quiet grief of a parent realizing childhood doesn't last forever. But there was something else too, determination. Because her mother wasn't here. And that meant he had to figure this out. He cleared his throat, trying to keep his voice steady. "Okay. Right. We can handle this," he said, sounding like a man who had just been handed a mission manual in a language he didn't speak. She smiled nervously. "I already looked it up online. I just didn't expect it so soon. Or so messy." He laughed softly, more at himself than anything. "Yeah. Me neither." He went into full dad mode. Laundry. Cleaning supplies. Towels. He stripped the sheets with tender concentration, as if they were made of glass. She worried out loud that it was gross. He reassured her, repeatedly, that it absolutely wasn't. When she disappeared into the bathroom, he took the deepest breath of his life and marched into the pharmacy aisle later that morning, where he discovered there were approximately 300,000 different kinds of pads. He stood there, baffled, stuck between super thin, overnight, ultra long, and brands he'd never seen before. A younger woman noticed his confusion and quietly helped him find what he needed, smiling kindly instead of laughing. He didn't miss the significance of that small act of grace. When he came home, she was sitting on the couch, knees pulled up to her chest like she used to when she was little and needed reassurance. He set the bag down gently. "I got options," he said, still a little awkward. She laughed, the tension melting. "Thanks, Dad." Later that evening, they sat at the table together, just the two of them, with a cup of hot chocolate each. The day had been chaotic, emotional, unexpectedly beautiful. They talked, really talked, about change, about growing up, about boundaries and safety, and questions she didn't know how to ask before. That was when she whispered the thing that broke him in the best possible way. "You know," she said softly, eyes glistening, "I was scared about this. I thought it would be awful. But when I saw you panicking this morning, I realized how much you love me. And suddenly I wasn't scared anymore." He swallowed hard. Because he had spent years wondering whether he was enough. Whether being a single father meant she was missing something essential, a softness he was afraid he didn't have the words for. Whether his clumsy attempts to braid hair and pick outfits and plan birthdays were really filling the role life had assigned him. And here she was, whispering the answer he needed most. He didn't tell her everything he felt right then. He didn't tell her how many nights he'd fallen asleep worrying about the future. Instead, he squeezed her hand gently. "You'll never face anything alone," he said. As time passed, that morning became more than a story about panic and sheets. It became a symbol, of transition, of growing up, of the fragile line between fear and love. It was the day she realized her father wasn't just the person who paid bills and fixed things. He was her safe place. And it was the day he realized he wasn't simply managing parenthood. He was doing okay. Word spread in small, harmless ways. Friends asked him questions. Other dads privately messaged him to say they admired how he handled it, some confessing they were terrified of that day arriving. A few mothers told him gently that he'd done the most important thing, he'd shown up with love first. That night, long after she'd gone to sleep, he stood in the doorway of her room for a moment, watching the slow rise and fall of her breathing. He thought about the path ahead, heartbreaks, exams, first jobs, mistakes, triumphs, and prayed silently for the wisdom to keep guiding her with patience. He switched off the hallway light and smiled to himself. Blood on the sheets no longer meant fear. It meant growth. It meant bravery. It meant life moving forward. And in that whisper, soft, vulnerable, filled with trust, everything changed. It wasn't just a milestone for her. It was one for him, too. Because sometimes the most powerful shifts in life don't come with fanfare or speeches. They arrive in quiet rooms at dawn, wrapped in uncertainty, asking only for presence. And he showed up. He always would.